go, da, Republican Bill 304. You're a dork, so no one gives a right? You're a nerd. I've got the big cars and pretty women, and I live the lifestyle. If you want to really capture the youth of today, you need to get some kind of affinity with them. They need to at least want to be you to a degree. You need to at least be their hero to a degree. This is where liberalism wins. I don't think a lot of conservatives understand that liberalism's sexy. You do drugs, you run around, you burn stuff. It's cool, you get a party. Because what do conservatives do? Stay home, stay home, stay home. It's boring, right? At least what they don't understand is that conservatives will sit there and go, he's a terrible role model because he has all these pretty girls in this fast car and he's a materialistic. That's the reason I can actually help the world. That's the reason young boys will listen to me. You said it yourself, 14, 15-year-old boys, they'll look at my life and go, okay, I want to listen to this guy. They don't want to listen to me if I sit behind a desk and read Republican Bill 308. I don't read that crap. I don't know. And they don't care. And I also think that especially in the masculine realm, we certainly like to see people lead by absolute and our example. Because traditionally we would be following our commander or the man we respected into war. So we'd like to know he can at least fight. We'd like to see he's at least brave. We'd like to see him lead by example. And I think especially if conservatives want to win the culture war, then they need to lead by example. If you're going to be a conservative preacher and you want to tell men about how they should live their lives, you should be as strong as possible. You should look in shape. You should be big. You should show you're motivated, you're disciplined. You should absolutely, of course, we all have vices, but you should be very disciplined with your outlook. You should make it very clear to the outside world that what you've done wrong, what you haven't done wrong, you should take accountability. I think you need to lead by example. I don't think you can preach to men. I don't think you can preach to young boys. I think that's the reason why they don't do so well in school in general. I don't think that's the reason why they're disenfranchised. I think you need to just lead by example and let them follow. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that.
Ernest saying, I love my wife. She's a wonderful mother to our children. We've been married. She had one child. Two years later, she gained 50 pounds and hasn't lost it.
Yeah.
And Jane wrote back to him and yelled at him for saying, he's like, I'm not attracted to her anymore. I don't want to. Just yelled at him for even saying this. I'm going, no, why are you yelling at him for being honest? The idea that marriage is a finish line is problematic. It's that, I got the guy, but claims that I like to work out and go to the gym, and now that I got him, I'm going to gain 200 pounds, and he's just stuck with me. That is a poisonous mentality. You should make an effort for your husband.
You don't just start a company and go, okay, I'm rich now. No, you don't work on that company every day. Rent it. You don't just get in shape and go on and shake and have stuff. No, you have to be a man in a relationship. You got to man a lot of men are also rejecting marriage is one, because there's not many wives to find. But two, I think a lot of men find themselves very unhappy in marriage because the women have no interest at all in satisfying them. Like you said, they have no interest at all in their needs. And they end up scared of divorcing her because they're going to be bankrupt. In a marriage where they don't feel respected, kids don't listen to them. And they're not the king of their own household. So what would be the attraction in getting married unless you're going to be the king of your own household? And that can be extrapolated and discussed in two different ways. One about feminine submissiveness, but also about masculine accountability and excellence. Because I think if you're truly an excellent man, you can be the king of any household. So It's very interesting. It's kind of interesting how all arguments come back to almost the same base biological things. And you teach women to be good women, you teach men to be good men, and everything kind of works out after that. And if you break those two things, everything built on top of it completely degrades and breaks down. It's done on purpose because they have the world so confused now that they can come at us with absolute garbage and it needs a discussion. If we had the basis of masculinity and femininity in the household, how would give their best or 100% effort to anything ever? Ever. They can't even remember the last time they tried. So when I'm sitting in a dungeon, I'm sitting in a Romanian jail cell, I understand that it is a chance that God has given me and my ancestors are watching for me to do my absolute best and to show to them that I am the man I say I am. You can't become the most famous man in the world for mental resilience and God not test your mental resilience. I think that would be a very amateur way to view the world, that you could now become one of the most famous men in the world who talks about mental discipline and mental resilience and God's not going to test it. I think God's going to come along and say, okay, you want to be Mr. Famous. All right, let's see what you have. So I believed it was a chance to show God and show my ancestors and show my father that I am the man I say I am. And it's amazing how much strength you can draw from that, because I don't think many men especially understand that even if you don't have the strength to be a hero for yourself, you should have enough discipline and enough honor to want to be a hero for somebody else. And if you have other people you truly respect, you should want to be a hero for them. And I think that's the masculine imperative. If someone's going to attack your wife, that's when you become a hero for her. You have to. What kind of man are you if you're not?
And you can apply that to other things. If you apply that to your ancestors, you apply that to God, or you apply that to your beliefs or your core principles as a man, then you can be a hero anytime you want. So
it's so funny that you say that, because it really does. Everything goes back to biology. I think about this all the time. No matter how much sociology is behind everything, telling men to act like women, women to act like men. At the end of the day, women want a masculine man, and when they don't have a masculine man and they beat their man into submission, they're not attractive anymore. And the tail in between, it's just not attractive anymore. And I made me think of this boyfriend that I had when you were talking about, just defending the realm, the sort of responsibilities that men have. And I remember sitting there realizing that I had to break up with him, because I thought that if somebody burst through the door with a gun, I was going to have to be the one that would have to defend us, because he was just such a flower. 100%. And in society is yet blaring at men to do the opposite. And
they're trying to confuse us. So it's crazy how they'll attack you, and they'll attack you so violently and so endlessly and repeat it so many times in a bid to beat your soul down. That's what they want, especially from me. I truly believe I'm the number one prize for them to get. If they can get me to just give up. If we can get Andrew Tate to just give up. Being a man's bad. Come on, Andrew, say it. And it's like, it's dangerous, one thing, but it's actually genuinely also sad. When I analyze the situation in the world we're in today, I partly feel sad that we've ended up in this place. The people who are in charge are so evil, and their plans are so heinous, and the consequences so dire, that they know they can only implement them if they genuinely remove the warrior spirit from every man on the planet. The best way you can rebel against the slave mind and resist the matrix is just be the kind of person who uses logic, is stoic, is emotionally controlled, is physically strong, because a strong body is a strong mind, who refuses to be told or labeled as something. You can't label me as a depressed person. You can't label me as some kind of disease or some kind of personality disorder. You can't label me a color. I'm Andrew Tate. This is who I am. I work hard for my last name. I understand what's right and wrong. I'm going to do my absolute best.
I say it over and over on the show. Everybody needs a therapist. They're talking about their feelings. The truth is that every feeling you have isn't valid, doesn't need to be explored. Sometimes you just have a wacky feeling and you just let it go. And because my grandfather was such an impact on my life, strongest man that I've ever known, didn't shed a tear at my grandmother's funeral. They were together from the time he was 17 years old until her dying day. Certainly he collapsed when he got home.
Of course.
But this traditional display of masculinity, in my grandfather's perspective, that a man needs to let it die in his chest, before displaying this emotion, had an impact on me. And when I see, I guess to give a cultural example, someone like Prince Harry, on TV with his arms like this, breathing and showing what he learned in therapy, it makes me want to die a little.
Completely.
It makes me want to die a little when I see men acting like that.